Veneranda Langa, and I am a journalist who is based in Zimbabwe. I work for NewsDay, and I've been working for NewsDay and in the media sector for 10 years now. Then on the issue of the type of journalism that I do, well, before I was promoted to becoming a deputy news editor, I was actually a journalist who wrote mostly on parliamentary issues. So I was a parliamentary reporter. What this means basically is that mainly I was working on, I focused on writing about policy making processes. And this entailed me as a journalist looking at the behavior of my country, Zimbabwe's policy makers, and whether their contributions into policy making processes were making an impact on issues to do with the development of the country, as well as issues to do with good governance, transparency and accountability, etc. So basically, I would simply expose the shortcomings by our policymakers, such as MPs, councillors, or local government, those that are in local authorities, and the way in which they contributed to debates on developmental issues in our country. So I wrote stories about those issues, how our policymakers were talking about issues to do with human rights, to do with corruption, to do with accountability, transparency, and other issues. So ACDEG is a very important policy for Zimbabwe and Africa as a continent, in that it promotes good governance, democracy, peace, stability. It promotes good natural resource governance, press freedom, and also it also promotes participation of citizens in governance issues, so that they are able to articulate their views on issues of transparency and accountability. So it was very, very interesting to write about ACDEG. And indeed, it became a winning story. And the story that won, because I wrote several articles about ACDEG, but the story that actually won was titled "Zimbabwe Missed ACDEG Opportunity to Promote Human Rights." It was not necessarily an investigative story, because many journalists that win awards win because of investigative stories. But this one was more of an discourse analysis, because you find that several times our MPs who are part of the policy-making processes, they just come to parliament to sit and warm benches. So my approach was simple discourse analysis. I only analyzed the behavior of MPs and also the quality of debate that they did around issues to do with ACDEG. And I discovered that there was lack of seriousness on the part of our policymakers to promote the African Union Charter ACDEG. And as a journalist, I just exposed that in the story. And I also stated the implications of that. I explained the reasons why it would have been good for Zimbabwe to debate those issues, because ACDEG was actually brought before Parliament at a time when the country was struggling on issues to do with the human rights and democracy. You know, the record was not good and the corruption levels were so high. My advice then to other African journalists, well, I think that as journalists, we have a duty to disseminate information, developmental information that can develop the African continent so that we can make our continent the Africa that we want. We need to scrutinize the behavior of our policymakers, because that is very important. Policies, good policies, are the ones that are actually going to develop Africa. So we need to analyze the contributions by our policy makers in Parliament, at local authorities, etc. Because if we fail to do that, then Africa will have bad policies and we will continue to be under an underdeveloped, state, region. So in order for Africa to become developed, there is need for our policymakers to come up with good policies on natural resource governance, on anti-corruption policies, transparency and accountability, press freedom. We need very good policies on that, policies that promote human rights. And in order to have those good policies, it means that as journalists, we now need to follow up on our policymakers, to analyze their contributions in Parliament, to expose their incompetence, to talk about the good policies that they also promote. Sometimes they also promote good policies. There are times when MPs can also make meaningful contributions, and we also have to write about that.